Welcome to ITSY 1342 30Y1 Information Technology Security. I'll be your instructor for this semester. My name is Andrew Phillips. Many of you may already know me from other classes I've taught, like the servers course, the Linux course, or one of the Cisco courses. For those of you who don't know me, I'd like to introduce myself a little bit before I introduce the class. I've been with TSTC since 2014. I started as a field tech at our Sweetwater campus back when the Sweetwater campus was one of 4 campuses in the West Texas, TSTC West Texas was at the time a separate college inside the Texas State Technical College system. Since then, the 4 colleges, the 10 campuses, have unified into a single college. With one board of regents, one SACS accreditation, one everything. Anyway, I started there. I moved down here in 2016 to be the field tech here on our new Fort Bend County campus. So I had the privilege of helping to bring the ITC online. When I first got here, I literally couldn't go in. Because it hadn't been yet completed. It was been completed. It was a hard hat area. So I had the privilege of bringing not only the ITC online, but also the Brazos Center and the Lineman Annex. There were a lot of other people involved in that. I was one of many, but it was a privilege. It was very interesting to watch some of these things I had read about, talked about, studied, actually go into practice. Now, before signing on with TSTC back about 5 years ago, I spent a number of years in the software business, mostly in software quality. And before that, I spent some time in the user support sector. Everything from contract deployments and migrations to the internet help desk to field support, replacing field replaceable parts. Those of you who know me for a while, have known me for a while, know that I'm a dog person, not a cat person. One of the reasons I'm not a cat person is I occasionally had to work on the laptops of cat people. And let me tell you, fans collect dander. Anyway, along the sorry, I didn't realize this gets something. Along the way, while I was at TSTC, I had the chance to become an adjunct instructor, to share some of what I was learning and doing with our student body. And then a little bit later, maybe a couple of years ago now, I became a full-time instructor. Now, so I've had a long career, not long by the standards of someone whose career is almost over, but the chance to do a number of different jobs, see a number of different sides of the IT industry. That the technology we use has grown by leaps and bounds since I started my career back at the turn of the century. Back before really I got my BBA and CS in computer science, that is, in 2003. Like I said, I've seen many of the things that we've talked about, that we talk about in practice. The technology, the evolution of the technology, the rollout of broadband, for the lack of, to coin a phrase, the ubiquitization of Wi-Fi, and all the things that go with it. I've seen operating systems come and go. I've seen Windows security software go from completely useless to relatively reliable. Now, cybersecurity is a broad discipline, and there are a lot of different careers and career fields within that scope. So if you'll allow me to mix a metaphor, as you're proceeding through this course of study, don't pigeon yourself by charting the full course of your career too soon. You may surprise yourself discovering how some of these things turn out to be useful. My own career has taken some interesting turns along the way, turns I would not have predicted, but which were nevertheless quite educational. You may find many different ways, like I said, to use this skill set. and even in ways that you couldn't predict because the technology you may apply the skill set to literally doesn't exist when you accumulate the skill set. Um, I think everyone in IT needs to know what we learned here. Everyone from C-level executives to the lowest and least of um, temp help desk work, temporary working help desk analyst needs to understand these things. Phishing, social, cybersecurity, sorry, not cybersecurity, social engineering, cryptography, systems architecture, the whole nine yards. It all ties together. Um, in this course, which you might hear me call the Sec Plus course, we're going to be covering Test Out Security Pro course. It's going to give you a pretty good start toward this CompTIA Sec Plus certification, Security Plus certification. Many of your future employers will be looking for that certification on your resume, if not something in advance of it, like CYSA or Pen Test Plus. I earned it myself last year, following years of exposure to the technologies, the techniques, the procedures, and a short period of intense preparation. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it. The Security Test Out Security Pro will be our primary resource, but there's also a very good series of video courses by Mike Chapley on LinkedIn Learning in what LinkedIn Learning calls a learning path. You might also want a copy of this book. This is the CompTIA Sec Plus Security Study Guide, 7th edition, by Emmett Delaney and Chuck Easton. I used this as a supplemental resource. I used the Chapley Learning course as my primary. I also used the Security Plus course as a supplemental resource. Sorry, the Sec Pro course as a supplementary resource. All of your labs and your quizzes will be in Test Out based on Test Out's own material, their videos, their demos, their fact sheets. All the same, I recommend the study guide, and if you've got the time for it, the Mike Shapley video course. The CompTIA Security Plus test is divided into 6 domains: threats, attacks, and vulnerabilities, that's domain 1, technologies and tools, that's 2, architecture and design, 3, identity and access management, 4, risk management, 5, and cryptography and PKI, or the public key infrastructure, 6. We're going to cover all of those extensively over the next 12 weeks. The Test Out course is divided into 9 chapters, and let me show you that. So here we go, the Test Out course. We're going to basically, we're going to take more than 1 week, more than 9 weeks to do this. Because chapters 8 and 9, we're going to give each of those 2 weeks because they're kind of long and involved. We're going to cover the introduction to the course and security basics. We're going to talk about the foundation of all cybersecurity, which is the policy. If the policy isn't right, nothing else that follows will be. Before moving on into physical security, network perimeter security, network interior security, host security, application, and data security. Data security is where we're actually going to pick up most of that 6th domain, crypto. That's why it's going to take us a couple of weeks to do it, because it is a long and complicated topic with lots of very important and minute detail. So absolutely do not try to blow through chapter 9 in a week. Give it as much time as you can. If you actually want to take some of these earlier chapters and go through them faster, that would be good. So you can spend more time with chapter 9. We'll finally finish off by doing some practice exams and Sec Pro's practice exam, the CompTIA Sec Plus practice exam, and our final for this course will actually be the Test Out Security Pro certification exam. If you pass that, that grade goes on your into Moodle, and you get a certification. So I'm excited. Now, one of the things to note about what we're going to learn here, we're going to be building on concepts that we've already explored, encountered, even implemented in other coursework. CompTIA views the Sec Plus as the culmination of its entry-level certification track, which consists of the A+, the Network Plus, and the Security Plus. So you should expect to broaden and deepen all the knowledge and skill you've already acquired. You may not use every little bit of it, but it will all be touched on in some way. Everything you've learned so far is leading up to this. Everything after harkens back to it. So let's get started.